everyone. So I'm gonna start with a poem that I haven't performed in like 5 years. And at the time, I mean, it's still really relevant, but I felt a lot more alone in my tears at the time. I'm like really glad to say I found people that will let me cry for them. So, and they're here tonight, so. Yeah. You guys. Tita Lee said I was born a crier. Said my shrieks were so shrill, my mother almost tossed me from bathtub to windowsill, but at least we saved money on the water bill since she could bathe me in my own tears instead of tossing out the bathwater with the baby hands. Uncle Bobby never let me forget that time I turned Carlsbad Cavern into Crybaby Cave, my wails bouncing off pitch black walls. She's just practicing her echolocation as to lessen the blame tourists put on me for disturbing the peace of mind is what I find while my little lungs run. A therapeutic healing, being in touch with my feelings, a connection that couldn't grow colder even as I grew older. Before the age of 3, crying was more of a pastime than a plea. No real reason to bawl. A baby's pretty much got it all. Mommy, daddy, baby sister on the way. My rubber tears used to bounce until they turned to glass one day. And my whole world shattered. 2 hearts that once beat as one, my tiny one thumping, hers too still, too calm. And in a heartbeat, she was gone. Gain a sister, lose a mother. The rules of give and take learned far too soon. My sacred ark lost in the midst of monsoon, and soon after, crying replaced laughter. The tiniest taunt would set me off. Even through high school, I couldn't contain my tears. Couldn't click with a click, just didn't belong. Too frail for the jocks, too loud for the nerds, too prude for the plastics. Alone in this world of click, click, click. A marble lost in a box of Legos, a land where you're labeled by your lunch table. So there I sat, spherical, unclickable, invisible, with my paper bag of fuck high school and toast, and a side of I can't wait for this shit to be over. Not as filling of a lunch as my emptiness had hoped. A melancholy mechanism that just couldn't help me cope. A calendar marking the days I didn't cry because those were among the less frequent. Always asking myself, why? Why do you embarrass yourself? Why can't you just get a fucking grip? Nobody else cries at school. You're such a fucking wimp. But this is just how I feel. This is how I deal. I'm just keeping it fucking real. Yeah. And with this realization, it became clear to me that the question is not why I cry, but rather I'd ask, has humanity gone dry? Turning a blind eye to those who have the guts to feel, those who can let go of the facade and break down, like actually break down. Let the roof crumble and feel the rain. Grip your foundation so tight you feel the pain in your veins. Scream at the top of your lungs so you're lightheaded as fucked and your eyes are dripping red and puffed. But seriously, when is the last time you cried? Better yet, when is the last time you let somebody see you cry? Or better yet, when is the last time you let somebody cry instead of avoiding eye contact? Or awkwardly trying to change the subject because the insensitivity of society has snowballed to a peak where we can commend the victors but condemn the weak, ignore the quiet who try to speak. Because you know what? I have absolutely no problem being a freak. I'd rather feel something real than be nauseatingly fake. I mean, we're all human beings, for heaven's sake. Why else would we have the ability to both laugh and cry if communicating emotions were part of the design? Too much pressure to hold it together until I realized we are obviously not waterproof. I'm not a malfunctioning mess. I'm just a girl who refuses to feel less, because my biggest fear would be letting my tears evaporate. Leaving no trace on my face, no rolling dew that breathes a sigh of relief as it streaks down my cheek, no gleaming puddle in my palm, that when I'm still and I'm calm, casts back the gaze I gave it. Remember the moment and save it, because these days, a good cry is hard to come by. But I have this theory. The salt in my tears purges worries and fears. Every grain of salt is a doubt you halt, a fiery fright you extinguish, a realization that sometimes it's just not your fault. An increase in saline saturation reduces the rate of evaporation, a fact that gives me substantiation, giving meaning to my weeping, because without this sodium chloride, I'd be numb and dry-eyed, rolling clear water boulders up my Sisyphean tear ducts until they give into the pressure and simply deconstruct. But the anxieties of salty seas give rise to opportunities. My bearded predecessor with cloak on back and staff in hand taught me I can part the waters and reveal the sand, walk within wet walls until I reach dry land, and when I finally turn my head to see what's behind, my army of doubts doused is what I'll find, because the salt that's ever flowing will set me free. If I cry you a river, it will always lead to the sea. And cast back the gaze I gave it. Remember the moment and save it. Because self-reflection is key. In this, I learned panic attacks are just reminders to breathe. I'm just going to do one more from a poetry zine that I just created called The Struggle is Real. It goes with the theme. This time it hurt to cry between my eyes, the way a magician pinches a handkerchief, the moment of anxiety before the heist is unveiled. Tied so tight like white shirts ready to be tie-dye and rubber banded tenfold. The sound of crinkled candy wrappers. Shells of misplaced sugar. Rushes to my brain, once pleasure, now pain. Strained muscle, memory, tethered. Ball to the face. Excuse the ball. It's Friday the 13th. Excuse the brawl. It's my time of the month. Excuse my fall from grace. It's Mother's Day. Excuse me, politely. Excuse me, apologetically. Excuse me, sarcastically. Excuse me, expectantly.